about things they already own. They don't read things to buy them, but feel reassured that they have already bought the right thing. In other words, they get huge information satisfaction from ads, far more than they do from the product itself.
And we are live. I am Ronnie James Harris of the Limitless Channel, and I'm joined by Jason William Laufenberg of the Awake Souls YouTube. How you doing, bro? I'm all of a sudden not reading your audio. I'm going to check. Now, I see my audio working on your end. Let me work on this here. Let me check this. Go ahead and talk.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, you are good to go, brother. How are you doing? Please say what you said. Say it again.
Yeah, we're on Beyond Flat Earth. Going back to Flat Earth. This is going to be a trip down memory lane. How are you doing, brother?
I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good. I'm hoping the audience can hear you nice and clear. It does sound a little bit, a little echoey, but I mean, we're going to work out the kinks. We're going to get there. Everybody should be able to hear you. I can't see the chat right now.
Some of the roof of your scene is missing right now.
What?
I'm not sure.
It's acting weird too. It's all like sketching out on me. What's going on here?
Yeah, so we're in the process of a tech upgrade, everybody. We are going Zoom free. So this is a Zoom free podcast that we're doing right now. And so we're getting used to some new stuff and trying to get a few things figured out. All in all, it should be better, but we just got to work through some of the initial glitches and stuff like that. So once we know that we've got good working audio and video, we'll be able to keep going.
Your audio is a little sketchy right now. I don't understand it, but I guess this is what they're going to do. I'm trying to see the audio options. I do have them all set correctly. You should be coming through nice and clear. I don't know why if people are saying that they're still hearing you glitch.
Yeah, we can test bit rates and stuff like that later, but
Yeah, it might not be that.
The audio should be clear because I hear you clear. Do you hear me clear?
You sound a little glitchy, to be honest. I don't know why. You just sound a little glitchy. No, maybe let me turn you up in my headphones. Let me hear you again.
1 2 1 2 testing.
Yeah, you
hear me.
You sound great. Let's just go with this. How you doing, bro? We're here tonight. We're going to discuss the common flat Earth mistakes that people that come into the truth about the Earth not being a sphere, they generally make these common mistakes. We want to talk about them, and then Jason's got a bunch of other stuff. So now that I can hear you nice and clear and everything sounds good, let's get this going the right way. So have at it. What's on your mind?
Well, yeah. So like in the title and the thumbnail, common flat Earth mistakes. And these are mistakes that you and I made ourselves as well. So we speak from experience on having made these mistakes. But nowadays, like let's serve it up. Let's make sure anybody that's tuning in, this is probably the most common flat Earth mistake that a person can make. And I've got something in mind. Should I just go with this, or do you want to guess what the number one mistake is, or bring out yours? But let's really talk about what the most common big flat Earth mistake is, right? All right. So number one, in my opinion, there is no bigger flat Earth mistake than you tell somebody Earth is flat. They say, well, how does the sun work? And you see the person take their arm and they go like this. As soon as you see a person going like this, here's Earth and the sun goes around in circles. At that point right there, you're going to be proven to be an idiot. All right, that is the number one debunk of flat Earth. And so I don't know if any person that's ever learned about flat Earth has never ever Googled flat Earth or done a YouTube search for flat Earth. But when you do that, you'll end up with thousands of videos that debunk that the sun goes in circles. Now, they've learned a lot of the debunks from us. We've been on this for like 6 years now, and we can debunk this from every single angle, right? But let's just keep it real simple. If you tell somebody that the sun goes around in circles like this, they're going to look it up and they're going to see the evidence that the sun actually rises and sets overhead and it doesn't go around in a circle. They won't find any footage of a circling sun because what they don't have is they don't have David Weiss's CGI and they don't have the CGI that Eric Dubay rolled out in the beginning. So without those pieces of CGI, nobody's going to see a growing and shrinking sun. Right? That footage does not exist. What they actually see is a full-size sun rising and setting. So you tell a person that the sun's going around in circles, they're going to see that the sun doesn't actually grow and shrink in their circle of sight. They see the actual path that it comes down, and they're going to think that you're crazy. So you may have learned a whole bunch of stuff about how there's no curvature and there's no motion and all these types of things, and think to yourself, I'm a flat earther now, and be all excited. But then somebody asks you how the sun works, and as soon as you take your arm and you start going like this, you're going to look like an idiot to that person. They're going to look up the information and see that you've never actually watched a sunrise or sunset yourself. Hmm. Yeah, it's correct, but I'm looking at YD's comment about no audio on Ronnie. Is that fixed?
I should be good now. And I didn't really have anything important to say. Jason has all the good things to say right now. But your voice definitely does sound better. Can I get a check? It's going to take a little time for us to get these glitches all worked out. We're going to get there. But you do look clear now. You're not all blurred out. And I do believe that your sound is now back to good. Can I get a nice deep test?
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, testing. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's less glitchy. But we'll work on that. It sounds fine. I mean, you're clear. Your voice is clear. I meant know when we go to screen share that you're going to be much better now. And yeah, everybody's, you just have to give us a little time, okay? We got to get used to these new settings, and it's going to take us a little time. But I am happy that we are getting improvements. We're still able to come out here and do this. So, okay, you touched upon the circling sun, how the sun doesn't, so you've got the yin yang. The yin yang is the representation of the turning wheel of the day. So the sun sets into the earth and goes underneath in the yin yang, and then the white is up, and then the dark comes up. And that's how the Japanese and the Asian people were able to tell the story of the day. Now they didn't put do I have a disc here? They didn't put the yin yang upwards like this, where it's spinning. No, they put it perpendicular to the screen so that the yin yang goes like this. Right? Do you guys understand what I'm trying to say? This is something that I really want to point out. I'm sure you can reiterate, come up with a bit better of a way to explain that, but that's the first one, that the sun is circling above your head, shrinking to a tiny dot, and never sets, right?
Let's see. We've got stop line. It's very telling that you guys know of Dr. Ulysses Grant's Morrow's rectilinear geodetic survey, but
I already know what this is. This is that same person that tried to troll me up on the Facebook. Okay, listen, I knew Steven from the LSE or whatever long before any of you guys did. So don't be coming in here with no, what does he call it? Concave Earth theory is retarded. It's worse than ball Earth theory. Now everything's going up inside of a ball. It's retarded because the same problem applies to your concave Earth. Water levels out. Water at rest finds levels. Right? It doesn't work on a concave or a sphere. It's impossible. Someone could come in here and try to straw man, right? Try to tell us our argument. That's what they do. They try to straw man us. Or they come in with this crazy ass concave Earth. Okay, do you not think people would be able to see the Earth sloping upwards? I don't understand where the rationale for the whole concave theory goes. But
they totally skip and miss the whole thing about water being flat and level. That just goes right over their heads. Like, you're like, no, water just clings to a ball upside down, inside out, right?
People love anything but the truth. They'll take anything. They'll run with it. They'll share it. They'll support it. They'll love it. Anything except for what is actually observable and true. They hate that. Right? And we're just going to continue. So, what I like to start off is saying, I don't need to prove the fact that the floor of this realm is flat. I don't need to prove it. The floor of the realm proves itself. I'd be an idiot to sit here to try to prove to you what is. What I will do is support Jason tonight in his movements in showing you that the globular theory, the ball earth, is actually the most retarded thing you could ever possibly imagine. We could debunk that, but you're going to have to go out and research and find your own ways to see the way that the truth is. We're not just going to just, here's all the evidence of the earth being flat. You need to go out and measure it yourself. And everyone else on the other side of the screen, the truth is for you to search. It's not for Jason and I to point out, but what we will do is completely destroy any theories that you think you live on a sphere or a concave sphere. You don't live on the inside of a ball or on the outside of a ball, right? We're going to go into that tonight with logical, easy ways for you to understand these things, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So the common mistake. So first off, absolutely never, if somebody asks you how the sun works, don't go like this, right? You're going to look stupid. We're going to show you the path of the sun. If you've never looked at it before, it actually goes like this, all right? Over a person's head from horizon to horizon, rising and setting. None of this circling stuff. So we've got a whole bunch of heliocentric debunks that there's 10 from the debate that we did against Red's Rhetoric, and there's 6 from a recent video, and we're just going to go through this in an absolutely non-biblical way, where all we do is just look at facts. What is witnessable, measurable, discernible, repeatable, all these things the scientific way. For a person that has no faith, for a person that doesn't know the scriptures whatsoever, these are just simple things that you can go test and observe and do research to confirm for yourself. And so once you have a debunk of heliocentrism, it's a theory that's now just thrown out the door. So you're on a quest to find what works. Even tonight, that's not really going to be what we're going to be going through. We're just going to be going through the common mistakes that a flat earther goes through. And so we went through these ourselves. And both of us, we were exposed to flat earth. And then in the beginning, when people were telling us that the sun was going around in circles like this, that's what we were telling people. Yeah, we're going, hey, yeah, the sun goes around in circles like this, right? And I made a video. We're going to be going through the tabs. I'm going to show people. I had a circular dome on a video once because I tried modeling it, and that's when I found out that it didn't work. That's when I started speaking against it. And that's the reason why Ronnie found me, because he had already seen that the AE map model didn't work. So these are the common mistakes that people go through. You learn that you're not in the world that you were taught, and then you get psyoped into something that's even more stupid than the heliocentric psyop. So the Truman Show psyop is bad. We're going to be going through and showing people that if you were supporting flat earth and you think you're in a dome and you think there's an ice wall and you think that the sun's doing circles, you're actually way dumber than you were when you were heliocentric.
Yes.
You're straight retarded now.
Yeah, excellent point. So what they've done was they've taken the heliocentric infinite universe model and they've brought it out with David Weiss as your infinite pond. This is what they've done. And they've just taken what is actually observable and made it actually undiscernible. And they did that as a plan. It was a rollout. The key things that we want to help people understand is that all you have to do is go out and observe these things. You don't need to take Jason and my word for the Earth's shape. You need to go and find it for yourself, right? We're also going to be discussing a little bit. I'll do a recap on just the rainbow section of the morning podcast, because it's a great way for me to show people that rainbows have nothing to do with a dome, right? So another common mistake that the flat earthers make is that they believe there's a dome above their head, right? And the concave earthers, their hero, what did he call, Lord Stephen Christ, he called himself, this nut job. He went around with a piece of mega cryometer, a chunk of glass that he said he found in the desert, and that it fell from the dome. Right, so there's no evidence. There's never going to be evidence. The only evidence that the flat earthers have was Masonic shill Admiral Byrd. And not only did he tie that in, he went to Antarctica, made the first Freemason Antarctic Lodge, right? And he psyoped the world into believing that they had nuclear weapons that they were shooting into a dome. All of it was a lie. Then he went and flew into the hollow earth, right? And supported the concave earth theory in another book that Admiral Byrd wrote. He went on television and said all this nonsense, right?
On television.
So you've got, what you have now is the circling sun that never sets, which is nonsense, or the shrinking sun, which is more nonsense. You won't observe that in reality. Anybody who's ever seen a sunrise or sunset knows that the sun doesn't shrink, nor does the moon. They don't shrink. Okay. The next one is that there's a dome. There's no dome. There's no evidence of a dome. There's none. We're gonna go more into that. Now, the next common fake flat earth thing is that there's a 60,000 mile ice wall. This has got to be one of the stupidest. If you think that there's an ice wall around the earth, you are absolutely crazy, because there is evidence, enough evidence, that they actually have a race around Antarctica. They circumnavigate it, and it's like 15,000 miles or kilometers. Kilometers. It's nowhere near 60,000 miles, as the AE map and model would demand. So those are the first three main mistakes that people make when they delve into the flat earth, right? The dome, the circling sun, and the ice wall. None of them. Okay, and then the next one would be the old one they don't bring up anymore, because D. Marble went to, where did he go? Alaska. And he was supposed to film the 24-hour, he filmed the sunset during the time when the sun was supposed to be up for 24 hours. He filmed it set.
He live streamed it. We copied it, downloaded it, and then once he put his video out, he had actually video edited it to sort of blend it together where it didn't set. So like literally caught them trying to fake.
Yeah.
But it never sets when it did. We watched it set on his live stream.
So, those are the main ones. And so the other thing that the New World Order did was, when they rolled it out, they used FBI agents like Eric Hendry, right? That's an FBI agent. That they rolled it out through him and Eric Dubay and these other shows like Math Powerland. Who's back?
Let's talk about the actors, right?
Yeah, they're all actors. They're all actors. Like, if there was everybody in Flat Earth and they were all Samoans, people would be like, hey, man, why are there all Flat Earthers Samoans, right? But when you find out that all these people that are in charge of the disinformation of the AE map and model, the one they call the Flat Earth map, they're all failed actors. Robbie Davidson, Mac Parhar, Math Powerland, all these people. Jaronism, IMDb says he's an actor. All these people. Owen Benjamin now on the team. Dirty David, Dick Hummer, another actor, and on radio, and a cop, and in the FBI. We could just go on and on and on. All these characters all share. Mark Sargent, right? Patricia Steer. And the other common thing you get with the fake flat earth disinformation is they're all military, right? So we've been documenting this for almost 10 years. So about seven years strong. And the first thing that I noticed was because of a channel who I think is still around in a weird way, is Free Energy with an A, not energy. And what he did was he showed that the due rise sun and due set sun on the equinoxes actually debunked the AE map. And when I saw that, plus I'll give Timothy Osman, however he says his weird ass name. He came to me and said, we have a huge problem with the stars in the sky. And I was like, okay, because I look at all evidence. I'm not biased. The truth is the truth. It's not my truth. It's not Jason's truth. It's the truth. We're just witnesses of the truth, observers. And he showed me that there was a different polar rotation. So you have a subpolar North Pole. You have a North Pole and a South Pole. We're going to call it a subpolar pole. One has a star that you can see, Polaris, and one has a void region called the Sigma Octans. One travels clockwise in the south, and the other one in the north part of the map travels counterclockwise, right? And when I had found this out, I realized, there's two polar points to the flat Earth. And this is a huge problem that all fake flat earthers have. This is another common mistake, is that people think that there's Polaris and everything circles around in the sky like this. When in actuality, the sky is shown to you like this, not like this, circling. The sky is shown to you like this. And the sun and the moon and the stars.
We've got some graphics tonight that will show what you're talking about. So when we get into some of this material, we'll be able to point out some of the things that you're talking about right
Yeah.
now too.
Well, we could probably transition into the material if you want. I can throw the screen share section on. Did you want to get into that?
Sure.
Yeah, well, thank you everyone for tuning in. I'm just going to talk a little bit while Jason gets ready. As soon as you screen share, I'm going to get you ready to go. Thank you for tuning in. Hopefully his sound gets a little bit more improved when we get the screen share. I know it was a little glitchy. Stick with us. Let us get these kinks figured out. But at least the images are coming in nice and clear now. I'm really happy about that. I do believe he's got the screen share on. And thanks everybody for tuning in. If you get anything out of this comment, leave a video, leave a comment below. That's really what we like to hear, other people's participation. That's what we really want. Let's see if you are presented. And you are presented. I've got from the left side of your screen, I have over to, besides shorts and subscriptions, I can see all those, all the way over to it's perfectly on the screen. Are you ready?
Yeah. So
take it away.
what we're going to do is we're going to go back through, let me just get my microphone moved a little bit here. Go back through some of these 10 globe debunks that we had in the debate versus Red's Rhetoric and Sean Hufford. So this was from 2018. This was July. This was a summer debate. And under the rules that we had set up, we had 20 minutes for our opener. So we just made a video and hit play on it. So what we're going to go through is go through and break down some of these. These are heliocentric debunks and a mix of flat Earth proofs scattered in between. And so, for the true skeptic, for the true scientist, for the person that cares about what is witnessable, what is observable, and is unbiased, their cognitive dissonance is turned off, and they're open to just seeing what is. We're going to go through and point out that it's very clearly not a spinning ball that we're on, and it is very clearly a motionless plane with topography. So let's go through these point by point. Just stop me and anything that interests you, brother. I would like to begin by stating that what Team Yahawashai
Right now it's black.
today is putting the
There we go. We're good.
globe on trial. Ronnie Harris and myself are acting as the prosecutors, and Red's Rhetoric and his partner are acting as the defendants in this trial, while the moderator is acting as the judge, and you, the listeners, are the jury. It is beyond our expectations that we will convince the defendants in this trial of their errors in logic and ask that you, the jury, weigh the evidence and convict the defendants of first-degree fraud against humanity. We will present as many evidences of such within the allotted time, but can assure the jury that... All right, so as we were scrolling through here, there was Ronnie's old channel, right? The Limitless Channel, 8 years of truthing. His screen is on the left. YouTube took all that. Curse YouTube. But our evidence is not limited and could span hundreds, if not thousands of hours if given the opportunity. Globe debunk number 1, no curvature. Due to the defendant's claim that we are on a sphere, there in fact... All right, so I gotta just pipe in here. The very first thing I did when I heard the Earth could be flat, the first time I heard about it and I decided to look into it, is I wanted to know what the curvature formula was. How much curvature is there? And so after years and years of people fighting about this formula, that formula, this isn't correct, this isn't correct, back and forth, this right here is the absolute most accurate way to depict curvature. And so the 8 inches per mile squared, you'll see if you go through this chart, actually comes way short. Way short. It's pretty accurate out here for a decent distance, but by the time you are getting out to Earth's radius, it's massively short. So just pointing out that there's been a lot of fine-tuning, a lot of arguments, a lot of debates on this topic. And the conclusion after 6 years of really diving into this is that this is the most accurate chart that you're going to find, yet it's still way short of the curvature that would be needed to actually be correct. It has to be curvature.
As shown here, for a globe of a radius of 3959 miles, the necessary formula for curvature is 8 inches per mile squared. While not perfect in its calculations, all heliocentric model supporters agree that there must be curvature, and that there must be at least this much, which means that at a distance of 30 miles, there must be at least 600 feet of drop from any observer at ground level. Because the burden of proof is on the globe for such claims, Team Yahawashai demands the defendants provide at least one location where the required amount of drop from an observer can be measured, that is testable, verifiable, and repeatable by all members of the jury. Keep in mind that this should not be difficult if we lived on a sphere, because this curvature should be found everywhere.
All right, so let's go back here for a second. With this formula, which comes in short, 30 miles, 600 feet of drop. All right. We just did a whole bunch of plumbing on a remodel job, and it just sort of jumped out that plumbing drains are typically set to about 1/4 inch per foot. And so a nice digital tool that we picked up, not only does it tell you 1/4 inch per foot, it tells you that that's 1 degree. So we've heard from all the shills, well, you would never see it. You would never see it because it's just 1 degree, and you can't see that. So that's to say that no plumber has ever been able to see a 1 degree pitch versus level. Now that's extremely noticeable just within the length of 50 feet in the house. Extremely noticeable. And you're telling me that at 30 miles you wouldn't see a 1/4 inch per foot drop, which is a 1% slope. So it's ludicrous, and there's not a single person in the world that's ever been able to offer up any evidence of curvature. Show us where the 600 foot of curvature is, right?
Yeah, there's
Nobody
nowhere.
can do it.
Yeah, we have never been given a spot to measure the curvature drop. There is nowhere.
Yeah, at bridges, at tunnels, we've seen all the charts of the Great Lakes, and you'll see the level above sea level and the lakes level, and then the next one higher, the next one higher. Everybody's seen how locks work. The fact, yeah, everything is level. There is not a slope anywhere. Just imagine, heliocentrism says that there's this 1/4 inch per foot slope every direction away from you. Plumbing systems would not work. But then they tell you that you're tiny, that you're just this little speck on a ball, and then they expect you to believe that a sailboat going 3 miles out is going over the curve. So we're going to get into some of the what
Ships over the horizon debunks.
yeah,
Let's keep it going. Yeah,
perspective.
your circle of sight and the vanishing point.
If we lived on a sphere, because this curvature should be found everywhere. Globe debunk number 2. Water at rest is flat and level. Due to the testable, verifiable nature of water, we know that water always maintains level and is flat when at rest. In a glass of water, a bathtub, a lake, and an ocean, water rests level and flat. If water constitutes 71% of Earth's surface area, Earth being a sphere is impossible. If the defendant's claim is that the oceans cling to a sphere, such a claim must be demonstrated with a scaled experiment to have any credibility at any scale they suggest is correct.
So did you know that to this point in time, there has not been one single proof of something being attracted to something else based on its mass?
Well, I have heard that, yes.
Yeah. So there is no proof for the theory of gravity anywhere, anytime. Nothing clings to something based on its mass. It's not an effect at all. Anything else you want to add, brother, or should I just keep going?
Yeah, keep it going.
Globe debunk number 3. The horizon rises to the eye level of the observer. As can be demonstrated by any 3D modeling program, if we were on a sphere, the horizon would always be beneath the feet of a person standing at sea level looking out over an ocean, and as that person gained altitude, the horizon would only get lower. This is true at any scale, and the scale suggested by heliocentric supporters is a sphere with a 3959-mile radius, requiring 600 feet of drop in 30 miles, 1,067 feet of drop in 40 miles, and 1,667 feet of drop in 50 miles. The highest observation deck of any building on Earth is the Burj Khalifa, checking in at 1,823 feet. A distance to the horizon calculator lets us know that at 1,823 feet, the horizon is 52.3 miles away. So in this image captured from the Burj Khalifa, so I just want to point out here, this is an image captured from the Burj Khalifa, and so this is the highest observation deck in the world, and just pointed out that 52.4 miles is the distance to the horizon, and it just so happens that there are islands that are out here just a little bit farther, right, around 60 miles, and these islands are never seen. They're never visible.
Yeah.
So one of the huge mistakes that flat earthers make is we go from believing that we can see trillions of miles, right, as a heliocentrist, to all of a sudden, when you hear about flat earth, you're told that you can see things that are 200 miles away. Jaron says that you can see Canagoo 250 miles away. Then there's another guy, what's that?
Tolan, J. Tolan.
Jay Tolan. So he goes around telling people that you can see 1,250 miles. Right?
It's all absolute nonsense, right?
Yeah, people that were around back at the beginning of Flat Earth, they saw videos of boats being zoomed back in. See, all of that is pure nonsense. It's make-believe. So far over the last 6 years, the farthest documented footage that we have of something is from like 62 miles.
Yeah, so all they were doing was magnifying the boat within their circle of sight. Once the boat reaches the vanishing point, it disappears. And the last thing that you see of the boat is the tallest section of it, which is the mast, right? We go into detail on that, but this is one of the reasons why Robotham was defeated in the flat earth versus globe earth debate 100 years ago or more, right? It was because they couldn't understand why the further away they went from the lighthouse, the less of it they could see once they reached the circle of sight vanishing point, right? The further back that you went, the less and less of the lighthouse could be seen. The CN Tower is a great vantage point to look at, to test this for yourself. When you just actually rise in elevation, and all of a sudden you'll see that there is no curvature, right? And you can see flatness beyond the CN Tower from 30 miles. So that's the thing that people need to understand. If the Earth were a sphere and a ship were to sail over the edge of that sphere from your vantage point on the ground, and you were to rise up in elevation, the curvature of the Earth would only grow in size. But the actual measurements that we observe when we go out with a camera and we film a boat sailing over a horizon, then we drive up a hill or a mountain that's close to that same shoreline, we can see miles and miles beyond the boat still flat once we rise in elevation, when the curvature of the Earth would only be enlarged. And this is how we debunked the reason they debunked Robotham. We came in, we know that Robotham was a setup agent.
Yeah, so you're talking about the CN Tower in Toronto, and here we are at the Burj Khalifa. And so the big mistake that a lot of people make when they come into flat earth is, well, how come they can't see each other, right? If you're on the observation deck of the Burj Khalifa and you're on the observation deck of the CN Tower, the Earth's flat, how come you can't see each other, right? Well, so the big mistake is that our circle of sight, even at this elevation, is really limited to about 50 miles. Right.
And that's from the highest vantage point on Earth, the Burj Khalifa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 52.4 miles.
And what they did was they took that measurement of your vanishing point on the flat plane, which is completely explained in Jason's Mall Earth video, as well as the perspective video, flat Earth perspective video that I did.
is they then went on to say that, well, that's the curvature. The reason why that you're seeing something disappear at that point is the curvature, instead of actually teaching people that was your flat vanishing point, right? And that's how they back engineered it and flipped it up. But we corrected it, and we can show people that, again, this is something, I don't have to prove this to anybody. You can go out and test it yourself. It's true. It's going to stand on its own. Jason and I are just here to share what we found.
Oh, and it doesn't affect us one way or the other in the least. So we're just sharing what we found. Because we care about truth. All right, that's the only reason. So let's keep going here. Khalifa Observatory Deck, the distance of the clouds at the horizon is 52.3 miles, thus requiring at least 1,667 feet of drop. So you got a cross section here where this is all scaled out in a 3D program. And so one of the big things, we're talking about experiential type stuff. If you've ever gone to a tall building and you've gone up in the elevator, you can actually look out and see that the horizon doesn't drop. And
No, it rises. It rises. It's an amazing thing that you can witness, especially if you're, sorry to interrupt you. It's a crazy thing to see once you realize that the realm that you live in isn't a sphere, and you actually do go up in elevation around a body of water. That's why if you're in Toronto, the CN Tower, or any really tall building around water, Chicago has water, Michigan, all the cities that are built on water, if you go up, it's insane at how high the water rises with you. All you see is water. It's the most incredible thing you could ever witness. Every pilot, right, that went around, Mark Sargent, went around telling people, go ahead, you can take your ruler with you in the plane, put that to the horizon. You're not going to see any measurable curvature anywhere, too.
Yeah, so the huge debunk of heliocentrism is if you went up in altitude on a ball, the horizon would drop. It would drop. And
well, it has to. Not that it would. It would have to. If everywhere is falling away from you in all directions, as it would on a sphere, the higher you went in elevation, the larger the drop would get. It's simple model logic. You don't need anything else but a 3D modeling program to show you what would happen. And it's absolutely now what we witness.
Globe, that means that the furthest clouds we saw from the observation deck would be at least 1,667 feet below the observer at the shoreline. As you went up to the observation deck, the horizon would only go down. Yet the evidence shows that. So watch that. The 3D modeling program will show you very clearly to the observation deck that if you're on a curved surface like this, as you go up, the horizon goes down. The horizon would only go down. Yet the evidence shows that the higher you go, the horizon does not go down, but actually rises with the viewer. This can be demonstrated on a flat plane, but cannot be replicated with a sphere. That's boom. Boom, boom, boom. Like if you had any questions about being on a globe, they should be over with, done, obliterated.
That point alone, just that point alone.
Yeah, and do not think that you can see more than 50 miles, people.
You just can't. You can't. Yeah, go and witness it yourself. Don't take our word for it. Get a camera and go and see how far you can zoom in on something. Please.
Prove us wrong. Start at about 50 miles and show us more than that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Show us 60.
And
show us
you incorrectly spoke. It's prove us right. Because we've already done the retest. We know exactly what you're going to find. So go on and prove us right, please. Continue, please.
Globe debunk number 4. Gyroscopes on the ground and in airplanes do not process. Original gyroscopes used in air travel had no electronics and did not process throughout journeys. The gyroscope of an airplane unassisted by electronics would process 90 degrees with each quarter of the sphere traveled. The artificial horizon indicator would be upside down 180 degrees, having flown half the circumference of a globe Earth. All right, so what do you know about gyroscopes, brother?
Once you spin them up level, they stay that way. They stay rigid.
Rigid in space, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's once they're spun up, they become rigid. They won't twist around. That's the reason that they use them.
Yes,
for whether or not you're pitched up
altitude
or down
and pitch.
An airplane, right?
According to the plane of the Earth. That's how it works. The stationary plane.
Yeah, there was a long time where they had artificial horizons running off of gyroscopes long before electronics were ever even invented. So the whole idea that they could electronically be processing these things is ridiculous. They were mechanical, and they remained fixed. When the pilot landed on halfway around the world, it didn't show him being upside down, which it would have if it was a globe.
For the defendants to claim sphericity, they must demonstrate both an unelectronically assisted gyroscope, process a full 360 degrees during a circumnavigational flight, and throughout a full rotation of Earth from the ground. Globe debunked number 5. Earth is motionless. For Earth to rotate with the motions defined by heliocentrism.
All right, so this is actually my favorite one out of the whole video. This footage right here, this little model of, he's got a circle that's got like a marker out here on the edge, and so he's going to demonstrate two directions of motion. There's a rotation in a circle, and there's a linear path of travel, which is something that heliocentrists say Earth has. All right, so let's pay attention to what happens.
We could feel acceleration and deceleration as demonstrated in this experiment. Not only do we not feel, nor can we measure any acceleration and deceleration, but Aries failed to detect any movement of Earth.
All right, so that marker actually went back on itself. So it's traveling forwards here. It actually comes back.
We would be like, oh, we're transitioning. Everybody hold on to the Earth. We're about to go into counter rotation, right?
Exactly.
And it would slow down, and it would speed back up again to keep the same path.
The teacups. Most people
like the teacups. Yes, at the fair.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
And a whole bunch of other rides. So once, and this is just 2 directions of travel. Earth is supposed to have 4, right?
Mm-hmm.
Earth whatsoever. We demand the defendants provide measurable, repeatable evidence for the acceleration, deceleration, and movement of Earth, without which the heliocentric model has no basis for any explanation regarding sunrise, sunset, and the seasons. Globe.
All right, so unless if the heliocentric model can prove that we're moving, they have no explanations for sunrise and sunset. They're just sitting there dumbfounded, like, duh.
It was baffled. Scientists baffled.
Baffled. Can't explain it because they can't prove the Earth is moving. It's never happened. Except for, what, Bob Nodell in Behind the Curve.
Stop.
Oh, the fake flat Earth.
Keep going.
Debunk number 6. Rivers. Rivers debunk the possibility that we live on a sphere. A video I published August 24th, 2016 defines the experiment that anyone can do. That video is a result of me personally living on a river and experiencing a historic flood. As a result of the flood, I became deeply aware that my house sat 400 feet above sea level. I measured the distance from my house to the coast in a straight path with Google Earth and discovered my house was 143 miles from the...
All right, so 143 miles to the coast. That's a straight line. That's not following the center of the river and the actual length of path of the river. If it was an absolutely perfectly straight line, it was 143 miles, and I was 400 feet above sea level. All right, it's not a whole lot of pitch, especially when you consider how the path of the river is going to be way longer than this direct path length.
The coast where the river I live on empties into the Gulf of Mexico. The required curvature for 143 miles is 13,632 feet, minus the 400 feet elevation and the river.
All right, so this graphic, I was being real fair, just pointing out here the 143 miles. And this was 13,600 some odd feet, but I subtracted the 400 feet for topography, right, in the heliocentric model. Yet still, I was 13,232 feet below the entrance of the river into the Gulf right there.
river is 13,232 feet below an observer, positioned at the point where the river empties into the Gulf, and it can be documented that the water has been flowing downhill until it got to the Gulf. That means that the water has to be running uphill 13,232 feet from my house to get to the coast. The only explanation that has ever been given for how this could be possible is gravity. In order for the explanation to have any merit as evidence, the defendants must provide a scaled experiment where they can replicate water on a sphere flowing uphill into another body of water larger its size. And the model...
Have you ever seen any, well, we talked about it earlier, not a single proof of gravity.
Except for Cavendish's shed balls. That's the only one.
Balls,
yeah, with a telescope, he looked through a window in the shed, and he said that the two lead balls that he hung from his shed were pulling towards each other. And with that, he was able to measure the weight of everything in the known universe.
Get out of here.
Yeah, that's what Cavendish said.
Scaled versions of insects and clouds and...
So when they say gravity is squeezing the water. Let's go back to, this is the explanation that we're told, that it's gravity that is squeezing this water uphill because it's, the gravity is so strong. But at the same time, we can walk, birds can fly, insects can buzz around. The gravity doesn't seem to pull any of those things. Just the water and ships that are on it upside down, right?
Size. And the model must allow scaled versions of insects and clouds and air currents to perform the way we observe. Now I'm going to present the map and model, which I feel the jury will agree
We'll skip this section, right?
Yeah.
What else do we have after this? Sunday, we're going to be getting in. Sunday, we'll be getting into this stuff. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, this is
Sunday. We're going into this.
Sunday, we're going to be going into the courses of the heavenly luminaries and relating it to simulation reality and explaining to people how you can actually find truth. That's going to be a fun podcast.
All right. So part of our process of discovery of the map and model that we're sharing is the fact that, like Ronnie talked about, people were telling us Earth's got two poles. So this is the diagram that really represents what Ronnie was talking about earlier. You called the South Pole something else now. What did you?
It's a subpolar pole.
Subpolar. So if you're in the north, right, you're going to, based on your latitude, see Polaris up in the sky at a certain height. The farther you are north, the more directly overhead this is going to be to you.
Mm-hmm.
If you're at the equator, this pole is going to be flat to the horizon, and the South Pole is going to be flat to the horizon.
Yep.
And then as you travel south, this pole is going to ascend and get higher and higher and higher, and the North Pole is going to be pointed down.
So it was the Japanese who are the first documented to invent a device that actually pointed to the North Celestial Pole, and they were able to navigate the realm with it. And then when you get to the southern half of the map, right, we call it south for the lack of a better way to explain it. There's the rectangle map that we use has 4 sections in it, right? A top, east, and west, and a bottom, east, and west. And so what you could do is align yourself anywhere on the map just simply by pointing at either the North Celestial Pole or the sub-pole, which is the south one, which is sigma octans, and you can actually find out where you are latitudinally. So that's the lines that run laterally, right? Longitude is up and down like a long line, and latitudinally is the ladder rungs that you can climb the map. So then you can grid it out and understand how everything works.
So this has got some motion to it. Check it out.
Point of celestial rotation that many flat earthers...
So if here's the sun here, right? Here's like a star going around Polaris. Here's a star going around sigma octans. But so if somebody asks you how the sun rises and sets, and you don't make a motion like this sun around you, the observer here, you're in error. You're just making a mistake. It's not true. It's not correct.
That's right. You need to have it like that, with it rising at the east and setting in the west. And the other thing that we have to totally see here is they've got this guy on the diagram ridiculously standing on some kind of a sphere. But the only way to actually explain this, right, what we're looking at, you actually have to have a flat plane. So you see the circle, which the circle that we see,
Circle is your circle.
circle of sight. And where you see the dotted red line at the edges, that is your vanishing point. And everything else in reality is measured exactly like this.
Have been duped into believing. Knowing what we were looking for led us to the CS Pierce oblique.
We don't need to get into the map, though. We can go through that. That was the first version of it that we got. And then we showed how we corrected the mis and disinformation versions of it, and we projected to a sphere.
No, to see.
Yeah, we can use. Go ahead, please.
That when you put the map up and project it spherically, that these like pink lines right here, these were straight lines when we drew them, but when you put it up here, you get your great circle routes. So this is one of the things where
your room line.
Yeah, exactly. So this is direct reckoning explained. This is the magnetic. What is the magnetic?
Yeah, well, this does away with declination. That's right.
Yeah, done away with.
Well,
Is achieved without the use of room line.
Did you want to say something?
No, you got it.
All right, so this is at the end.
Yeah, it's Sunday. We're gonna go deep into the courses of the Heavenly Luminaries, the Book of Enoch, and basically explaining how it works inside this virtual reality and what he was teaching and how we can show you what it looks like.
Yeah, so we'll jump to the more modern video, and this one, there's 6 heliocentric debunks in it. And so by debunking heliocentrism and just showing that it's impossible,
So now,
you don't even have to do much more. I mean, that's
yeah, I mean,
all you got to do. If
well, I'm
the
sorry.
guys like Eric DeBay, all they did was debunk heliocentrism, and if somebody, when they asked him, well, how does the sun rise and set, and he just stood there and said, I don't know, right? He would be so much better off. But when he puts his finger up, starts saying it's doing circles, that's when he gets debunked. So let's jump to 916.
Well, hold on. Hold on. You know, not only does Eric do that, but he also denies that there's any stars in the southern part of the map. He'll deny that there's sigma octans, or that. So in the north, we have what is called the Big Dipper, right? And in the south, they have the southern crux, which is a cross in the sky. One travels clockwise and one travels counterclockwise. Eric will deny all that and then tell you that Hitler was a good man, right? That's what his agenda is.
Mm-hmm. So this graphic right here is right off of Google Images. And all you got to do to find this is just look for lunar node. Type in lunar node, and it's going to show you a graph like this. You can also look at the equinoxes, the solstices. It's a very common diagram. Now this one has the moon in here, where it says moon too high and moon too low. So this graphic was used for explaining why we don't have an eclipse every month of the moon, right? Because if the moon didn't have a oblong orbit like this, there would be an eclipse every single month, and we don't have that. So they say the moon is too high and the moon is too low, and that the only time that you can have eclipses is at the equinoxes. So I'm just pointing out a few things to pay attention to in this graphic. Now let's check this out.
Now you will notice that the moon is defined as having an orbit that is tilted 5 degrees to the ecliptic plane. That 5-degree tilt is defined to the ecliptic plane, not Earth's 23.5-degree tilt in heliocentrism. As you can see in each of these diagrams, the tilt of the moon's orbit is contrary to the tilt of Earth in heliocentrism. So now that you have the lay of the land and heliocentrism, let's dive a little bit deeper. Let's take a look at what heliocentrism calls the nodes. We have the March equinox and the September equinox being labeled as the nodes. Each of these nodes are the only time eclipses of the sun and moon could ever take place. Looking at the diagram, we can see that there are only two possible times this could happen, and that it is at the equinoxes, which have been labeled nodes. Let's zoom in on the March node, as this will be the easiest to see. In heliocentrism, the moon must transit in front of the sun in order for a solar eclipse to take place. Now, as we know, in heliocentrism, the Earth is moving 67,000 miles per hour around the sun.
All right, so this is one of those, sit down with anybody. This is what heliocentrism says. The Earth's going 67,000 miles this way. Now we're going to get a speed of the moon traveling around Earth.
And the moon is traveling 2,288 miles per hour around Earth.
All right, so real simply, if you're on a highway and something's traveling 67,000 miles one direction and something's traveling 2,288 miles the other, they're going to zip past each other real quickly, right? Real quickly.
So we see here at the March equinox that Earth is moving 67,000 miles per hour this way, and that the moon is moving 2,288 miles per hour this way. With Earth having a diameter of less than 8,000 miles, the transit of the shadow would take roughly 6 minutes and 56 seconds at the combined.
All right, so 8,000 miles, the combined speed of 69,288, it would take under 7 minutes.
Speed of 69,288 miles per hour. Although this is an extreme stretch considering that the moon's orbit is said to be an average distance of 239,000 miles, thus making the alignment extremely difficult. The longest total solar eclipse ever recorded was 6 minutes 38.86 seconds. But that was the length of totality for an observer.
All right, totality. That was the length of totality. Let's see how long the eclipse actually took to go across the face of Earth.
Anywhere along its path. The actual length of the eclipse transiting across the face of Earth took over 5 hours. So the first debunk of helium.
So this is the type of graphic that you get from NASA, right? This sunearth.gsfc.nasa.gov eclipse. So this is what they showed people. This is their information. Central duration, yeah, sure, great. But time of day, watch this. And it shows...
Heliocentrism here is that the length of solar eclipses that we record and witness are much too long for the heliocentric model.
So there you go. Over 5 hours it took for that shadow to go across Earth. That doesn't work.
Yeah, it's defying the two speeds that we had outlined in the beginning of the section here.
Absolutely.
Another way to debunk heliocentrism is that we can literally map which direction an eclipse has to happen and at what time. If the Earth is moving this way 67,000 miles per hour and the moon is traveling this way 2,288 miles per hour, then to have an eclipse, be it total or annular or partial, the path of the eclipse must be from the south to the north during the March equinox.
You catch that, brother? So
yeah, the direction. South to north.
When the Earth's coming across this way and the moon's going this way, we would have to have the eclipse start from the south and work to the north. It's the only way it could possibly happen. And it would also be, right, because of the rotation of the Earth, it would be starting in the east and traveling to the west. Watch the rotation.
The reciprocal is true during the September equinox. In this case, eclipses must happen from the north to the south. The paths of totality promoted by heliocentrists shows that it is not always the case though. Sometimes the paths are going the wrong direction, which is heliocentric debunk number 2. There is another closely linked debunk of heliocentrism, and that is the direction that the path of totality shows up. The path of totality could only show up on the ground as traveling from east to west, due to the direction of rotation of Earth. Let's zoom in here a little bit and watch the path. So be real clear. Here comes Brazil, right? We're in Africa right here. So path of totality of a solar eclipse. The eclipse would begin on the east side and travel to the west. The eclipse is a narrow, roughly 70-mile wide band that experiences the sun fully blocked by the moon. With Earth spinning in the direction required for sunrise to be in the east and sunset in the west, we can clearly see that all eclipses must begin in the east and travel west. This is an unarguable point, and the reason why this is You see what's happening with the NASA diagram? What actually takes place in reality? Well, the shadow begins in the west and travels to the east. Right? It's backwards. Heliocentrism just straight up has it backwards. Heliocentric debunk number 3. I want to give special attention to heliocentric debunk number 4 because it is the most easily verifiable debunk of heliocentrism in my opinion. Let's focus on the fact that the only time a lunar or solar eclipse could ever take place in heliocentrism is at the March equinox and the September equinox. Do you see that? Do you remember why we're looking at this graphic? It is because this graphic is the explanation of why we do not have lunar eclipses every full moon. Scientists have put the moon at a 5.1 degree tilt to the ecliptic plane in the reciprocal direction of Earth's tilt, to get it out of the way. That is because without this motion, the moon would be eclipsed every full moon. So look at what happens as a result of this. Lunar or solar eclipses cannot take place anywhere near the December solstice or near the June solstice. The model literally makes it impossible for either a lunar or solar eclipse anywhere near these dates. So what happens if we look up the dates of projected lunar and solar eclipses? Will we get any outside the narrow window of the equinoxes, which are the only times that are possible with the heliocentric model? Of course. Look at this. You do a search and the first one that came up was June 21st, 2021. All right. That's literally
a summer solstice.
So that is heliocentric.
It's a quarter of a year away from when it should be seen.
Yeah, it's literally on the solstice, the time of the year that they say it's impossible. This one's a week away from the winter solstice when they say it's impossible. It's one of the absolute complete absurdities of heliocentrism. Their explanation for why we don't have eclipses for every month says that we can't have solar eclipses
or lunar, right?
Or lunar during the solstices.
It has to be at the equinox due to the ecliptic plane of the Earth and the sun and the moon.
This one just drives me wild. Like how any person on Earth could continue to believe in heliocentrism when they have such a blatant, like this, their model does not work. This is just boom, blown, busted. 4. Lunar or solar eclipses could only happen within an extremely narrow window of the equinoxes. Now that we have broached the topic of why heliocentrists use this graphic as to why we do not have eclipses of the moon every full moon, let's take a look at another way we can debunk heliocentrism. As you can see here, the reason we are to not expect an eclipse every full moon is that from the March equinox to the September equinox, and from the September equinox to the March equinox, the moon is either too high or too low. Now everyone knows that Earth has two polar rotations, except for the fake flat earth shills that promote the Freemason New World Order AE map and model, which has only one. Alright, so the people that say that the sun is going around in circles absolutely 100% deny the existence of a southern polar rotation because they can't have it. They only have one polar point.
Jerem would say, well, show me the southern pole star. Right? I'd say, well, Jaron, it's a void region in the sky. He was, well, there's no pole star. Okay, well, how about the Southern Crux circling clockwise? Oh, well, that's because it's on the edge of a giant dome circling around us from east to west. That's what he said. Go up the wall with Jeremy. That's what he tried to come up with. All they can do is just jackass clownery, come up with nonsense. David Weiss. Jason, you told David Weiss the problem with the sun's rise and set position 7 years ago. And he was like, well, you ruined my day. Got Jaron into the call, right? And then Jaron came in, and then Jaron said you ruined his day too, right? And since then, they've done nothing but promote this lie and deception since then.
Yeah, so everything about this app is debunkable severely. If
It's a joke.
Yeah, if a person believes that this is flat Earth, you are dumber than you were when you were a heliocentrist.
Yeah, well, again, what I went into in the Rising Ground this morning was I explained that first they had the Flat Earth Society, right, with the pressurized pizza dome flying upwards in outer space. And what Eric Dubay did was made IFERS, which was the anti-Flat Earth Society. He mocked the Flat Earth Society, but he took the exact same model with the dome and the pressurized and the circling and all this stuff and just said that it was stationary. Right? That's the only difference that they made. But he continued to promote all the lies and disinformation. And then you had Robbie Davidson come in using the logo from the Flat Earth International Society from their website. And he continued to promote the same nonsense. And Mark Sargent. And if you didn't say this stuff, you were buried. You were shadow banned. Everybody in the community mocked you. Jaron would come in and make fun of you. Right. And then Dave would jump in and make fun of you, because what we did was we showed that the sun absolutely does not circle above you in the sky. Right. It rises from the east and sets in the west, and twice a year. Right. It rises due east 90 and sets 270, which is a straight path through the sky, negating that it would be doing some kind of a right hand turn around this fake AE map model. And not only that, we could go on and on and on about debunks of this AE map, but really tonight isn't about the debunking just this map. But all you need to know is that the sun traveling on those three circles that David has on his map right there, if the sun was on the outside circle, anybody knows in a race that you want to have the inside track because it's a smaller distance to race, right? Everybody knows that. You could teach that to a 10-year-old, right? So the sun on the outside track to have the same, because the sun travels above our head every day, everywhere on the map. 24 hours later, you will see that sun cross above your head in the sky, apex, the highest point in the sky, every single 24 hours. So if the sun was traveling on a larger circle, like they promote, in our map and model, all three of those lines are the same length. The sun would have to be going almost double the speed around that larger circle, right? The different tropics. And they just deny the fact that I point this out. And I said to you guys, the sun would just be ripping by, right, for it to keep the exact same pace everywhere. So this map just falls flat on its face, and it was purposely planned to be rolled out, and they tried to tie it to the scriptures, which didn't work because it was clownery, and that they wanted everybody to fall into this infinite pond earth theory that David Weiss is promoting. So they've taken heliocentrism, which is an infinite universe, and now it's an infinite flat pond earth where it goes forever in David Weiss, and it's got a dome on it too. All of this stuff mixed in.
The circus tent.
That ski bar.
Deny the existence of a south polar rotation. But if that's what Eric Dubay does, he just straight up denies it. No.
Straight up. Well, Robotham wrote that in his book. Nobody sailed to the south. Robotham said that Australia was cold. He said it was freezing. It was too cold that nobody could live there. That's what Robotham wrote in his book, and Eric Dubay just touts it word for word. Eric Dubay never did any of his own information. All he ever did was read other people's books in videos. That's it. He was an agent right from the start. Thai boy, right? Moved to Thailand to fight for the truth for America was how he first started. But anyways, I don't want to make this all about Dubay.
No. If you do understand that Earth has two polar rotations and that the stars rotate counterclockwise north of the equator around Polaris, and they rotate clockwise south of the equator around a starless spot called Sigma Octans. All right, so when we're talking about star rotation, we're talking about time-lapse photography, where if you were pointed at Polaris or if you were pointed at Sigma Octan, this in the south, you take a time-lapse, or not a time-lapse, but long exposure photography, and you'll see that the stars rotate around this
starless point in the center here. There's no center star. And then they rotate around Polaris. But there's even a little bit of wobble to Polaris. I mean, it's a small amount, but
it's also
it has a slight wobble to it.
It's also a bifactor of taking the still shots and then stitching them together. Okay, that's another aberration that takes place. But the main thing to point out here is that the sky that we're looking at is perpendicular to the horizon. One is up straight into the sky. Jaron had to make fun of it and call it up the wall. Is in the flat Earth model, sigma octans and Polaris needs to be just directly above you all the time. All of the stars in the sky should be circling in the sky, not on a wall that you're looking at, right? And not only that, another crazy debunk of the fake flat Earth is that to see on the AE map and model, do we have an AE map and model in the next couple clicks? I just want to point it out with the map on the screen so people can really understand what I'm trying to say here. There it is. Look, here, I'll just quickly explain this. So if you were on this flat Earth AE map and model, can you put your cursor over North America, somewhere in like where my dad lives on Hudson's Bay almost, right? So if you wanted to see the stars on the outside of the fake flat Earth dome, pressurized pizza dome, you would have to look up towards the south. You would have to see through the daytime sun that's over Russia right now. You should point out the sun for everybody to see, right? When the sun is there, if you were on a flat Earth AE map model domed reality, you were having to see through thousands and thousands of miles of sunlight to get to the other side of the dome that they say the stars are spinning around you on, right? This fact alone debunks the entire model.
Good point. Let's go back here and see what we skip past.
Phuket word comes in. Nick proposes a circular plane Earth with a single polar point, where the sun, moon, and stars all revolve around Polaris, and he has to deny any polar rotation south of the equator. This is the most common disinformation when it comes to a plane Earth. Freemason.
So, number one mistake, going back to that again, we're talking about the biggest mistakes flat earthers make. If you say that the sun, moon, or stars are going around in circles like this, you're going to look like an idiot to whoever that you said that to, because they're going to do a little bit of research and see that anybody can debunk that.
Sonic agents propose Earth to be a Truman Show-like snow globe, and the east and west are circles. Some will say Earth is moving up 9.8 meters per second, while others say everything can be explained by density and buoyancy. What they all agree on is that Earth is a top-down projection of the globe, and that the United Nations their logo.
Oh, that was good. Okay, I forgot you had that little tidbit of information. Okay, what the AE map and model is a squished top-down projection of a sphere globe Earth, and they've stretched out Antarctica to infinity on the outside. That's why when you do the math, it's a 60,000 mile ice wall that would be needed, and it's ridiculous. No one's ever been measured. And then what they say is, look here at Captain Cook, the CC 33-degree Mason that supposedly when he tried to sail to Antarctica, it took him 3 years, and they say that he circumnavigated the ice wall. That's their evidence. And then they go to Freemasonic Flat Earth Admiral Byrd, right? So I like how you pointed out that the AE map and model. So when I researched the reality that I live in, I went and downloaded every single map and projection and the reasons why they made the maps and projections the way they did. And I learned it was basic. They have intermediate, they have beginner maps, they have the different kind of maps for different levels of intellect to be able to conceptualize reality, right? The AE map model was just a way to show, and it was like a, public school level intellect map. All the land masses supposedly on a sphere from a top-down perspective, from what in drafting is called a bird's eye view.
Yeah, so this right here, this is the Freemason New World Order United Nations map, which just so happens to be the map that the fake flat earthers adopted.
33 spots on it. No Antarctica. Well, Antarctica is the laurel wreath, right? It goes back to Roman nonsense, more, all of it. Let's keep going.
Regardless of what map is used. Not much could be farther from the truth. Let's take a look at what the current modern-day fake flat earth shills are promoting and see if it's as easy to debunk as heliocentrism was. All right, so that was the end of the heliocentric debunks. And we don't really need to get into the fake flat earth debunks.
We could do that for hours and hours and hours.
Yeah, but I thought what we might do here is just have a little bit of fun with the Andrew Marsh. Let me get this.
This is Sunday, brother, Sunday.
Okay.
Andrew Marsh, we're doing Sunday, but you can continue, show what you want. But I'm letting you know that on Sunday we're going to be diving deep into understanding our simulated reality and tying it to scriptures. But we're not going to mix that in tonight, because tonight is about logic, actual atheistic standpoints to look at how we can measure and verify our realm.
All right, so let's go to our date today. What are we, December 9th? All right, so for the person that's in England over here, look at how little daylight they get here.
That path is pathetic. Oh, you poor people. My heart goes out to you in the UK. Look at that. The sun barely gets up into the sky.
So that people can see here, you got north, here's your south, your east and west. So you're looking south, and the sun's going to rise from over here. Watch this.
Way, way, way down. That reminds me, it's similar to Toronto.
Yeah, so
where I grew up, that's what I was used to.
Shadows far to the northwest over here, and here is the path of the sun. If somebody asks you how the sun rises and sets, and this is not the path that you're drawing,
you're retarded. And the other thing too, everybody in the UK knows that it's a lot shorter of a day right now. It's dark really early, and the sun doesn't rise really early either. You can see it just has a tiny crest above the horizon. That's the bottom of the analemma. The analemma is a snapshot of the sun's position once a month or once a day, and then you can plot it out, and what you get is that oblong figure 8 shape. I just want to make sure, because another common thing is the flat earthers think that the sun actually does that path like in one motion. It doesn't, right? That's not what we're saying.
Now, for our friends at the same time in Australia, right? We got that.
Sure, let's go.
There. And
boom, sun's way up.
So now we got to turn around because we want our
looking north now.
We're looking north now. We got south to our back. So look at how this path right here, and let's watch where it rises from. All right, so it's coming from
south of east.
South of east. Look at this here, everybody. Right here is east. Here's south of east. This red line right here is the path of the sun. If somebody asks you how the sun works on this flat plane, and you don't draw this type of arc, right, you are going to look like a fool.
Yeah, you're lying. This is what's measurable. Right. This is our model, by the way, if anyone's tuning in. This is our model of what we tell everybody and show everyone that the sun's path is. And not only that, it matches with a lot of things. We'll be getting into that Sunday.
All right. So this is the path of the sun around the observer. It's doing a circle, but not the way that the fake flat earthers show you. And once again, here's your west. Here is way south of the west.
So what we need is the AEMAP model brought up real quick. And I need to explain to people what we just showed there. So if it rises south of east and sets south of west, it's actually doing a circle off that map on the screen. Look at this map, okay? If it's rising from below east, show them. And this map doesn't even have a way of explaining northeast, south, and west. Everywhere is south, going outwards.
It's
retarded. I don't think there is an annotate tool. We don't know yet. We're just going to go. I just want you to put your pointer on... where were we? Australia. Go to Australia. So start to rise from the south of the bottom of Australia, right? Jason's cursor is the sun. So you're off the map over there is where we're measuring the sun's rise. It comes overhead like we had.
Overhead.
Boom. Now you got midday for people on that coast of Australia. And as it comes back around, it's going to set going off of the map on the other side. It's going south. It's not going circling around in your sky above your head. It's going the other direction. And when we brought this out to the flat earth community, we were ostracized. We were mocked, made fun of, ridiculed. Nobody would talk to us. And it's obvious that it just fails, the whole entire model.
Yeah, somebody mentioned New Zealand. Let's do the same for New Zealand.
It's roughly the same.
Roughly the same. Same thing. So this is the path for December 9th. We'll rewind it to our sunrise. Super, super south of east. All right, this is the path of the sun. This is south of west. We can go along this map anywhere to the south. We'll go to like Cape Town, South Africa. They're a little bit farther north. So the path is a little
More
bit
south.
vertical.
More south. Because the more south you go, the higher the sun will rise in the southern half of the year, in the winter months. The seasons are flipped, and you don't really get that talked about in the fake flat earth community either, right? Because that destroys their entire, because the sun circling again on the outside of the AE map, the sun would have to be flying over New Zealand to keep its pace around that, 45,000 mile line compared to the equator's measured distance. 24,000 miles is the equator. Right. And then the AE map and model has like a 30,000 mile southern tropic. And then the inner tropic is even smaller. So the sun would be going really slow around the north.
So here's one more way to visualize it. Go into Stellarium here. Let me get the date up here so I can adjust the time. I just want to show you, here's today. Now, with this view, what I'm going to do is I'm going to super widen it. You don't like these large field of views, but what I want to do is I want to have both east and west on the screen at the same time. So I've got a super wide field of view. So I'm looking due south.
That's good.
I can see the east, I can see the west, and now if you watch the path of the sun, which direction is it?
Circling away.
It's circling away.
It's obvious. Remember Jaron, I can't believe my mic's peeking out. Forgive me for that if I got loud there. Jaron actually was trying to get his viewers to film the light after the sun sets in the south, then traveling north, right? He thought that someone was going to be able to do that for him. And Jerry, it's been like 3-4 years now, and nobody has come to you with evidence that when the sun sets going south, that it doesn't do a big hook and come north. That's what Jaron was trying to do. He just constantly wanted to cling on to lies. That's all they want. Just make money. Shekels, pay me.
You can clearly see super south of east, and then this path throughout the day. This is the type of stuff that Eric Dubay and
you showed him in the other video, that other guy in Thailand.
And people like that, they'll show you something like this.
Yeah.
But watch the actual path. So it circles out and away to the...
A Phuket word is the guy that was trying to say the sun circles around that you already covered.
Yeah.
Another Thai boy, right? The guys that moved to Thailand. He was from the British military, MI6 or whatever.
Yeah, and so since we're in the north here, let's take a look at one more thing while we're here. We'll do a little star trail thing. We'll go deeper into the night. And so Polaris is going to be up here. Let's just run the stars here.
Yeah, you should. Well, you don't have people aren't going to be able to see, but what you can see in the sky is the constellations. If you start to get more acquainted what they look like, just actually by the stars themselves, you'll be able to see.
Yeah,
we should be seeing Ursa Major, the Big Dipper, should be located there. It's when you put these pictures on, it doesn't really do it justice. Now the Big Dipper is low right now on the horizon there because we're in the winter. It's to your right, Ursa Major. What? Yeah, it does change its position in the sky, but just continue to spin it. It's in 4 different spots in 4 different seasons, brother.
What are you talking about, Ursa Minor? I'm talking about Polaris.
No, I'm talking about the Big Dipper. So if you could turn the bear off now. I mean the bear. If you could turn the cartoons, just turn those off. I want to point out the Big Dipper here so people can see it. Because most people in the north actually know what it looks like. Oh, it still didn't. Keep going. There's the cup of the Dipper there on the right. It's just not, you got to move it around more. You see it's just starting to come above the horizon on your right, Ursa Major. Everybody knows how to find Polaris that lives in the north. You go to that, see the star right on the far left of Ursa Major, part of that Big Dipper. It's the cup, the big ladle cup in the sky. Once you align Ursa Major, that right star of the cup, of the bottom of the cup, to the left star there, it draws a line straight to Polaris. So you know exactly where you are, anywhere on the map. Anywhere you are. If you find the Big Dipper and you find the outside of the cup like that and you draw the line, you'll always find Polaris. And you can do the same thing in the south. We're going to go there and I'm going to show you the Southern Crux, which is a cross in the sky. So everybody knows there's Draco, the dragon. We've seen him on the bottom of the screen right there, sweeping his tail across the sky. All these things you should get, more used to. You can see Cancer. You can see the Gemini. You can start to understand what these houses, the 12 houses of the zodiac sign, what they look like in the sky. Everybody 1,000, 2,000 years ago, this was our TV, right? Everybody knew everything. You could tell what star rose on the horizon. You knew what time of the year you were in. If you could see that constellation, it's simple, right? The sun rises with the lion in August. Well, it did 2,000 years ago. It's a little changed now. But now we're in the south, and you can see Sigma Octans, the subpolar point, the void region in the center of the sky. And where is the crux? We should be able to locate that now. And it also draws a line also to the southern pole, or subpolar point. I don't know why I can't see it. It might be below the horizon, too. Is there anybody in the chat from Australia or New Zealand? They want to pipe in and say, yeah, I've seen the Southern Crux, and it spins. If you can see right now, the stars are spinning clockwise. Right? Just type in the search bar Southern Crux. See why not see it? Oh, the triangle right there, Triangulum Australia. That's another one. That's a really good markator in the sky to see. That triangle is very, very easy to find for anybody that lives in the south. We don't know these star patterns. I know them a little bit, because I study the sky extensively. It's something that I'm very passionate about, but we still haven't located it yet. You gotta search it. Again, it all Southern Crux. I don't know why it's not showing up. What?
Yeah, that's not something you can search on here.
What? You just click on the magnifying glass and you type in Southern Crux. It's searchable. I don't know why you would think it is. Survey says. Oh, you already tried it?
Yeah, it's not certain.
What about Crux? Just Crux. Why am I not finding it? I'm going to find the correct name. I got to give you the exact name.
Yeah, just Crux.
Crux came up? Why do I not? I do not see. I do not know why I cannot make it out. Yes, there it is. There we go. Thank you. Finally. So again, now when you have that in the sky, right, you can obviously see that the longer section of the cross constantly points 180 degrees south, which is octans. See that long point? It's a little bit skewed, but you can see the way that it's pointed. It's the same as the Big Dipper in the north. This is how people navigated without, GPS and all this other nonsense. And you can see the skies traveling clockwise here, right? And it's not above. We're not looking directly up. We're looking outwards at something that is perpendicular to the horizon, right?
Let me see if I back this out, how well it's going to show the... Let me see if I put this on. No.
We can go to the north now and show people how it travels. There you go. That's you were able to get Leo Minor. Now you're getting the Orion.
Polaris is down below the horizon here. But then if I change the location to north, watch this move up.
Boom.
See? Now you can tell that
there's the North Pole just cresting.
Because the Polaris is coming up above the horizon. Higher. We get up to your dad's place.
It's almost right above.
Yeah, it's way up high.
And again, so let's play the clock ahead here. And you're going to see counterclockwise, like when the DJ thing that I have, my video that I made, it's mimicking the star's rotation, which is counterclockwise. Okay? I just want to point that out for anyone that's paying attention. In the south, they were going clockwise, right? In this part of the map, the sky turns the other way, counterclockwise. It's very easy to go out and verify these things, right? Don't believe us, prove us right. Go and witness it yourself.
That's up very high in the sky. So let's show it from most people's perspective, maybe like around
one thing.
here. So
One thing I want to point out,
most
Jay.
people will see Polaris, right?
One big thing is you can't actually see the stars circling like this with your naked eye, right? They move too slow.
Time lapse.
Yes, if you zoom in with a P1000,
Time lapse. Yeah, long exposure.
long exposure time lapse. But if you zoom in with the P1000, you can actually see the movement, right? Because it's not easy to stay focused on the star.
Try to track it.
Yeah. I just want to point that out because some people, I looked at the sky, Ron, you were wrong. I didn't see them doing circles, right? No, you have to take a picture every 30 seconds. The photography the aperture stays open, so it absorbs as much light as it can, and then it turns off, the star moves, and then it takes another picture, and then with a software program, you can edit all those pictures together to form what is called a star trail.
Yeah, and I just want to point out before we go that so what we were looking at in Stellarium is exactly like this. It's all built off of a flat plane, right? It's so Stellarium, this program, there are hundreds and hundreds of programs out there. Timeanddate.com, all the rise and set angles of all these motions, they're all built off of a flat plane. If we add sun angles here, right now, it's going to show us as I move the time here, it's going to give us two measurements. One's going to be the altitude, one's the azimuth. So here's the altitude right here, 10.37. Here's the azimuth. As I move the time, we're going to be given these two measurements. All of this is built off of a flat plane. If it wasn't built off of a flat plane, if this was built off of a globe, there would have to be corrections. They would have to tell you what latitude you're at, and they would have to have an adjustment here because we're just going from 0 degrees to 90 degrees with no adjustments for your latitude. It's impossible. It's absolutely impossible. It's foolish to think that you can get from 0 to 90 degrees along a globe without an adjustment per latitude. Right?
Yeah.
Because
What you're saying is a sextant doesn't work on a globe.
no.
Sorry, it doesn't work, ladies and gentlemen. It needs a flat plane to measure off of, not a sphere. But I do have something to share too when you're done.
Yeah, I'm done.
Give me a second. Let me get this back on. Simple mistakes flat earthers make. I know you guys probably just saw that. Let me get my screen share here. I'll get you sharing my glasses inside there. Okay, let me take the screen share from you so you can see what I'm talking about. We're going to talk about the rainbow to close this out because it's very, very important that we understand exactly what's going on. Because another common thing that flat earthers say is that rainbows prove that they have a dome, right? Or that the earth is flat or whatever. It's what they say. It's what they say. So we're going to look at that real quick. I shared it this morning, but we'll share it again. Let me get Jason in here so he can see. Thank you guys for tuning in. I really enjoyed the presentation, Jason. We're just getting back into this topic. We just wanted to share with people, why is this not working? Just some of the reasons why we don't believe in the globular ball earth anymore. Can you see, Jay?
Well, and common mistakes that flat earthers make when they first get into it. So if somebody tells you that the sun's going around in circles, and then you go around repeating that, looking like a fool.
So I've noticed when I screen share, I don't know if your sound is as good, right? But I just want to point that out. So let's go in here to the Final Cut program. Everybody can see. You can see, right, Jason?
Yep.
So if the earth is flat, this MK Ultra PSYOP meme says if the earth is flat, why is a rainbow like this and not like this? Okay, Jason, what do you have to say about this picture? You say something, please.
Well, there's a couple things that jump into my mind. If I'm looking at a rainbow, it's within my circle of sight, and I know that my circle of sight really tops out at 50 miles. So I'm not expecting to see this thing any further away than 50 miles. And then the shape that it has, you're going to probably cover it, but it's absolutely repeatable
on a scale with just a garden hose.
Yeah, we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there.
This same shape, so it really has nothing to do with anything else other than the way we get this. What would you call it? The prism effect of water.
Yeah. Well, what we're seeing a rainbow is actually a subsolar point, right? It's a subsolar point that the sun's position is. You're seeing the tabernacle that's around the sun projected to your eye. Okay, so this is a false dialectic. So if the Earth was a sphere, this is not the sun's rainbow wouldn't dictate it be spherical. And if the Earth was flat, and it is, the rainbow would not be flat either. So it's a false dialectic. They give you two wrong examples. That's why I said it was Tavistock, MK Ultra, mind control. So if we get into this, people always ask, well, the problem is that most of the time, unless you're in a plane or a really high mountain peak, right, the Earth gets in the way and you can't actually see that a rainbow is actually a perfect circle, a sphere, right? Unlike the flat Earth in the background here, right? So rainbows don't have a beginning or end. They're from everlasting to everlasting. There's no start and no end to a rainbow, okay? So when we continue to look on here, this guy got really lucky. He caught a double circular rainbow from a plane high up in the air, right? That's what we can witness. So people need to understand that you can't get to the end of a rainbow because there is no end, right? That's just nonsense. But if you have access to a garden hose and you have the nozzle and you have a mist setting, and if you're going to try to get a full circle, the sun has to be directly, just past the highest point in the sky for you. So just after whatever its highest point is, it has to be going the opposite direction. So you spray the mist, the anti-direction, the subsolar point, and then you're going to find that you can actually make a circle rainbow in your backyard with no dome. I did this 5 years ago and show people. But the interesting thing that we have to get to is forget about the end of the rainbow. Where do they start from? This person says, well, anyone who has seen a rainbow from an aircraft knows that, yes, the circles are around the subsolar point. There's no start or end, they go on to state here. And what we really have is it possible to stand directly under the start or the end of a rainbow? I actually heard somebody trying to say on one of my researches that they were able to get to the end of a rainbow. Some nonsensical liar had said that. But anyways, so no, the rainbow is actually a cone of light with its apex at your eyeball. When you move, guess what? The rainbow moves too. So you're always in the middle of it. The rainbow and all the other lights in the sky, they're fixed to you at a certain distance. So if you move closer, it moves away. Also, you can't get to the end of it because it has no end. It's a complete circle. So the main thing that we want to point out is the rainbow and stars, the sun and the moon, all have the same apex at your eyeball, or any observer or any camera. It doesn't have to be a human. If you have something filming, that camera, right, it also has an apex at its eyeball. And the sun and everything else are actually just cones of light. I hope this is very simple for people to understand. So this has nothing to do with a dome. And if anybody out there is telling you that it does, you need to refer them to the truth about what rainbows are. This little section, it took me 10 minutes to explain to people. Is there any questions in the chat? Does anybody not understand? Jason, do you understand what I'm saying here?
Yeah, well, you're definitely not getting to it because it is moving with you.
Mm-hmm.
So all the luminaries, all that kind of stuff. We're in a virtual reality. When you move up, down, left, right, any which way you want, your circle of sight is moving with your eyes. And the stars, the luminaries are rotating around you, going up overhead, not doing this flat or horizontal circle. So just pay attention to the path that they take, and it's all verifiable. You can use shadows, a whole bunch of ways that you can prove the path of the sun around you.
So, yeah, I mean, it's pretty obvious what we've laid out tonight. And I want the person on the other side of the screen to do your own observing. Go out and test the realm yourself, right? We're not going to come out here and prove the Earth is flat. We don't need to. The Earth proves it every single day. But we'll show you what we found through deductive reasoning, what's not true. And that's it. Brother, I'm going to let you do some more talking here. And sadly enough, I am noticing a little bit of hiccups with the audio. So I unscreen shared. It seems when I screen share the new systems that we're using, we're going to have to do a little bit more work to figure out what's going on there. Hopefully I can fix it on my end with a little bit of work. But we're What were your main topics or your main points so far tonight that you wanted to point out?
No, I think I've banged home that the flat circling sun is really the biggest mistake. That is the biggest mistake. Somebody learns that they're on a flat plane, then they want to share it with somebody else. Somebody says, how does the sun work? And they sit there and they take their finger and say, it's going around in circles like this. And you're just really making yourself look stupid if you do that. We're trying to warn you that you're going to get debunked. The person that you're telling the earth is flat, they're going to look and see that it's not circling, and you're going to look foolish. So we're trying to warn people so that they don't give flat earth a bad name until you actually do the research and see how it actually works. Don't go around telling people it's doing circles, there's an ice wall, there's a dome, and all this nonsense, because you're just making flat earth look bad.
Yeah, well, you're pushing people away from the truth. That's all you're doing. But yeah, no, I thought it was a fun podcast tonight. I hope people got something out of it. And if you did, please, again, leave a comment below. Share your thoughts. Maybe you can debunk us, because if we can be corrected, we want to stand in the truth. We don't have if the earth was a sphere, Jason and I would be showing you that the earth is a sphere. It's not. We don't, it doesn't have to be flat for me. It doesn't have to be a simulation. I follow the truth, and that's all I care about. So I hope we can get more of these issues ironed out as we move forward, trying to upgrade our tech at the end of this year. We're trying to get better here. And just bear with us, please. Just understand that we're trying to do our best to upgrade. And it seems like everything always wants to work against us, But I'm still happy. I feel like we did a good service for the truth tonight. And I hope you guys enjoyed it too.
Yeah, no, it was great. Thank you, brother. Thank you to those that showed up. And we'll be live Sunday night taking a look at this, the path of the sun around the observer, more from the biblical standpoint, what the scriptures have to say.
Yeah.
Looking at it closer in detail.
Tying the simulation into the scriptures and the courses of the heavenly luminaries from the book of Enoch. That'll be 6 o'clock, right? 6 p.m. Sunday on this channel, right? Where can they hear it, Jay?
The only place you're going to hear that is beyond flat earth.
Choices you made.